Hi, and welcome to Have a Chat. I am your host today, Veronique Arsenault, joined by my stunningly, wonderfully, beautifully, amazing co-host, Judy Loge.
You are my one laugh every Monday. No matter what's happening around me, you make me laugh. So thanks, Veronique.
Well, I try. We're in it together,
Well,
Judy. We're in it together.
yeah, you're beautiful. Welcome everybody to have a chat.
Yeah, hard to believe. Here we are at a new week already, and February is
Mm.
almost over, and it's.
Woohoo!
I know. I'm tired of
Yay!
winter. I'm tired of winter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I think everybody's
yeah.
just tired, period. Don't you find people are just a bit, I think the great word is weary. They're COVID
Yes.
weary, they're winter weary, they're bored weary. They're just weary. That's the best word I can find.
I know, and you're so right. And you know what? I saw something on social media the other day, and it kind of really it stuck with me. And it was one of those posts where it was not a meme, but kind of a meme, and it said, a friend of mine said that she had hit a wall emotionally, right? And she was really, really
Oh,
sad about that. And the response was sometimes walls appear so that you can lean on them and get a rest.
there. I like that. That's really nice.
And we're kind of I find we've all kind of hit that wall. Like
Mm-hmm.
we're tired, we're weary. You're exactly right. That word
Yep.
is exactly right. We're weary, we're tired of
Yep.
COVID, we're tired of, you know,
Right.
winter, we're tired because nobody's getting away anywhere, right? Normally
Nope.
people would be heading south, and that's not going to happen this year, and that's okay. We're going to get through that, but
Mm-hmm.
you're right, we're weary.
I'm just so glad that I am a type of person that I have my days like today I'm weary. But in general, I'm trying to keep my step going. You know what I'm saying? Like I could feel dog bone tired and I still think, okay, I have to muster up some energy or I'm gonna get, really in a bad way because I'm very social. This is so
Yes.
abnormal for me not to be socializing most every night of the week. But
Yes.
and so yeah,
Me
I'm
too.
weary of that too, not being around all these people and events that I love so much. But it is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. A friend of mine that also volunteers a ton, just like we do. I thought he said it best when he said, like, we get our energy from that, right? Like, you get your
Yes.
satisfaction and your energy, and from being around
Mm.
people, you get kind of recharged.
Yep.
And not to have had that now for nearly a year, I'm with you. I'm feeling it a little bit too, but
Yes.
I'm every day I try and find a different way to kind of keep myself going. But
Hmm.
anyway, so
Me
we'll
too.
stop talking about COVID because we're tired of it.
Right.
But you have a wonderful quote today, Judy. I'll get you to share that.
I liked my quote that I have chosen for today, so I'm going to share it with
Mhm.
everybody. Never forget when a child gives you a gift, even if it's a flower they just picked. In their eyes, they are choosing to give you the most precious thing they have to give. That's sweet,
Oh,
isn't it? It's
that's
true. I
beautiful.
love it.
Yep.
No, just a little anything. It could be a little bit of glass they picked up on the beach or a shell, but you take that and you say, "Oh my gosh, that's," and it is beautiful because it's usually something that's been given to me from my children when they were little, and it's because they chose it. It means something to them, and they're giving it to me with love. It does not matter what. I take it with a sign of, "Oh, I'm so blessed right now."
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with you. I think, those things that I've treasured most throughout my life have not been, those big extravagant kind of gifts. They're either moments that
Nope.
I've gotten to spend with people, or
Mm.
that flower that somebody picked, or whatever it may be. So you're right. And I love that, because in that moment it is everything that they have to give you.
I remember, I'm going to share a little story real quick because it's funny. When Jansen, our youngest son, was in grade three, I believe, I accompanied him on a school bus trip to Magnetic Hill in Moncton. And I had given him some money because I thought if he's with his friends and they're at a little machine where they can get chips or a bar or something, that he'll have some cash in his pocket and wouldn't have to come and ask me. I gave it to him so he'd feel, a little bit special having that pocket change or a few dollars. And what did he do, Veronique? But he bought something for me with his
Oh.
money on that trip. And what it was a dinosaur handbag. So you know me with my fashion, okay? It was a
Mhm.
lime green dinosaur bag with two big wooden handles, and it had big dinosaurs all over it. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can't wait to wear this with my Chanel jacket. No, but I'm joking. But it wasn't funny because every time I went out the door, he'd say, "Mom, you forgot your handbag, you forgot your purse." And I'd have to come back and
Oh
I'd have
my
to
god.
get it and take it. And you know what we did the other day, Veronique? We found it again. He said, "Oh, Mom, look at this bag I got you in grade 3." I said, "Look, and I did not throw that out because it meant so much to me then and it means so much to me now. I just haven't
I
worn it
love
in a
it.
few years."
I love it though. I think that's my
Yeah, it's
favorite
sweet.
story because I can
Yeah, it's
just
so
picture
sweet.
you with that bag.
Yeah, and him insisting that I take it everywhere I went.
Well, he knew he loved you. He wanted you to he wanted a piece of
Oh,
him to go with you.
yes, it's always in my heart.
Aw. Isn't
Aw.
that I love
Mhm.
that. I love that. Jansen was such a cute kid too.
Oh, he was bad.
I know.
Sweet, sweet,
I
but
know.
hyper like me.
I know. I know, I remember.
Not
Um,
bad, not bad, just super busy. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Super
oh yeah.
busy. He's really
Oh yeah.
calm now.
Oh no. Well, you've got two wonderful, wonderful children. I mean, I love them.
Mhm.
I'm lucky that we're
So,
family. So, um,
yes.
so we thought today we'd have a little bit of fun with each other and we'd ask each other some thought provoking
Mhm.
questions, right? And
Love it.
so you go
Love it.
first. You ask the first one.
Okay, let me find out what I have in my little
Hmm.
trunk here. Okay, Veronique, I picked out a couple and you don't know what's coming at you, so just give your best answer
I'm
as the
ready.
viewers can play with it in their mind what they want to think about answering as well. If you could know the absolute and total truth to one question, what question would you ask?
Am I doing enough? And I don't
Mhm.
mean am I working hard enough? I mean that, I know that I work hard at work. I know that I work hard, with my friends and family and that I but am I doing enough for the people around me? Am I doing enough for my community, for my fellow human, I guess is and it
Yes,
sounds,
yes.
it sounds cliche, I guess, or fake maybe, but am I doing enough um to help those around me because I have a very blessed life. I have wonderful
Mhm.
friends and family in my life. I have a great job. Grandma always said to whom much is given, much is expected. And so I always try to live up to that. And so I just wonder if I'm doing enough.
Oh my gosh, can I answer that on behalf of everybody? I know you're doing more than 100 people put together, Veronique. You are one of the hardest working, most loving people I know, and you give back, give back, give back on a daily basis. So, yes, the answer is you've given more of your heart and time and energy than anyone I know.
Well, and I thank you for that. And it's funny because I've told this
True.
story on the show. I've told this story on the show before, but I'll tell it again just because we've got some time today. But years ago, I was going through. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I was living in Ottawa. I had just ended kind of a long term relationship at that point, and was my job was okay, and I was everything was
Mhm.
fine. But I had come home that Christmas season and you were receiving the New Year's levy from the mayor for your volunteerism for I think it was 20 years at that point. And I
Mhm.
remember I had always been a volunteer up until that point. I had volunteered in Ottawa and it was great. I loved it. It was fun. And growing up, that's what mom and dad always expected. But I remember you talking about how much it gave you to volunteer, and how much it meant to you and the joy that it brought to you. And I remember sitting there listening to that and thinking, oh my goodness, that's what I want. I want to be like that.
Mhm.
I want to feel like that. And I looked at mom and
Mm.
and she was sitting beside me and I said, I want that. And mom, as moms always do, she looked at me and she said, well, then do something about it. you know
And
and
you,
and
yes,
and I did. I did. I
you
I
did.
you know,
You
I packed
sure
up.
did.
I packed up a few months later. I moved home that July. And I was working three jobs at one point, but because in order to make a living, but I really wanted
Mhm.
to, I looked up to you and still do, and wanted
Oh.
to be like you in that way because I knew how kind and caring you were, but also how much it meant to you.
Yeah, oh, it means everything to give back to me. That's just part of who
Mhm.
I am and part of who you are. It's self-rewarding when you see people being on the receiving end of kindness and love and help People need help in
Mhm.
every capacity. There's always somebody to help. It doesn't matter who's out there,
Absolutely.
even if it's just to lend a hand, an ear, whatever. But physically, yes, I've worn my body out trying to run here and there, helping. But it's okay. It's what I do best.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'll ask you that question, Judy. If you could have the true answer to one question, what would it be?
Well, I'm spiritual, and a lot of the viewers may not be. That's okay. I don't, there's nobody out there that I look down on for whatever the choice are, whatever their faith is. Everybody's equal in my eyes. But to me, God, I would love to ask him the question, have I done enough to serve him?
Mm,
I mean, I can think that I've lived a good life, and I can think that I've given everything in my being, Veronique, back to people, my family, my friends, my volunteer hours, and my children and my husband. I've given of myself because that's what I love to do. I just said, but in God's eyes, come Judgment Day, I want to know, did I do a good job of being a human being in the way that I was intended to be? I hope that he's going to say, yes, you were not self-serving, that you did put service above self. But that I would love to ask him if I've done a good job as a human being while on this earth. That would be it.
yeah. Well, I'll answer yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you, God.
Absolutely.
Thank you, God.
Yep. I'll,
Oh,
I'll just kind of slide that one in there. Yes, you absolutely,
sure.
you are a kind human. Absolutely.
So are you. Do we have time for another one, Vero?
Yes, for sure.
Okay. If you were given 1 minute, a 1 minute ad shot, okay, an advertisement shot during the Super Bowl that you could not sell, what would you fill it in with? What would you do?
So my dancing would be
You're
out,
given,
right?
oh, yeah, that's out. That's one down. Two to
my
go.
singing, my
What's your
singing would
second
be out
option?
too, right?
That's right. You got one left. Call a friend. Call a friend.
Okay, so if I couldn't sell an advertising spot, and what would I fill it with? I think
Mm.
you know what it's gonna sound again. It's gonna sound a little bit cliche, but I would either fill it with something to do with veterans and helping their services,
Oh,
right? Like promoting their services, or something to do with mental
good.
health. Right? Because I
Good.
mean, you're thinking about all the millions and millions and millions of people watching the Super Bowl, right? So,
Yep.
what better way to get that message out about mental health than,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, you have to get creative, right? Because it has to be something that would, catch their eye. But yeah, I would love to
Right.
maybe talk about mental health.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I can't dance and I can't sing, but I do have some comedic skills. Be fun if I want to be. So I think I would try to entertain them with some stories, some personal funny stories. I have a bag
Oh,
full of them. I can entertain my
yes.
family for hours on end with them, and I think that's what I do. I'd entertain.
Well, and I know when you MC something, you come out with the best stories and jokes. So your comedic timing is quite epic.
I can get away with a lot too.
Yes, you can.
Yes.
I love it.
Oh, that can
So
be bad.
I have a question for you then. So if you could uh compete on any reality TV show, what would it be?
Compete. Well, I don't watch a whole lot of television, and I do love like the talent show. So, American Idol. I would not be on the stage, obviously, doing anything in the way of performing to win that kind of a seat from the judges, as in, oh my gosh, we're going to press that buzzer. But I would love to be a judge. I would
Mm,
love that because I see so much, and I've judged minor talent shows
mhm,
locally and pageants and things like that. But to me, talent is so personal, and what you might love on that stage is something I might just not love at all. But I'm
mhm,
going to give my fair and most honest appraisal and critique of that person's performance. And it's going to be
mhm,
raw. It's going to be exactly what I feel. It's going to be, like I said, I know I'd be a good judge because I'm honest, and I look at all different forms of talent the way some other people wouldn't look at it at all. They'd say that's just bizarre, where I think that's just beyond creative. I
yep.
would love to be part of that show. I'd love to be in that seat judging talent, music, whatever. What
Oh
about
yeah.
you?
I think there's two actually. I'd probably if I had an option. Um the great what is it now? The Amazing
Amazing
Race.
Grace?
The Amazing Race. I couldn't think of it for a second, but yeah, The
I
Amazing
knew you were
Race.
going to probably, yeah.
Yeah, because and I've actually often thought about auditioning with dad. Because
Oh,
he's so like I mean he's obviously traveled the world and I've gotten to travel quite
mhm.
a bit, but I think it'd be, we'd probably kill each other, but that's okay. And then if it wasn't The Amazing Race, I think Survivor would be the other option.
My gosh, you're brave. I wouldn't go with either one of
Yeah.
those.
Well,
That's
and I worry,
crazy.
I worry, I worry about, the snake factor in Survivor,
Mm-hmm.
because they're
Mm-hmm.
often in the jungles of some, wonderful exotic place. So I do worry about that, but yeah, I think either one of those, I think it'd be fantastically interesting.
Mm-hmm. I shouldn't even do this to you, Veronique, because it's actually cruel on my part because I know your fear of snakes. But I actually was looking at a magazine the other day, and now there's a thing in the world, not here now. You can rest your soul. Um, a flying snake.
No,
I
no,
just had to tell you that because, and I said to my
no.
mother, I'd never do that to Veronique, but I just did.
And then come on back after the break. We've got a great show lined up for you, and don't go too far. Hi, and welcome back to Have a Chat. I am your host today, Veronique Arsenault, and I am joined by my ever wonderful co-host, Judy Loge.
And welcome back, everybody. Back to you, Veronique.
I know we're so glad to be together, and we have such amazing guests on the show today. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So we are now joined by Samantha Fairweather and Caitlin Carroll from the Miramishi Youth House. Welcome, ladies.
Mm.
Hey, thank you so much
Hello.
for having us.
So nice
Mhm.
to have you both with us. Thanks for being here.
So, ladies, we do know about you and we do know about the Youth House, but we would love for our viewers to get to know you a little bit better. So, Samantha, I'll get you to introduce yourself to our viewers today and tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I'm Samantha Fairweather. I'm the director of the Miramishi Youth. I've been working for the Miramishi in various positions for over a decade now. I'm incredibly passionate about the Youth House and the organization. What we are is we are a homeless shelter for youth ages 16 to 19 in times of crisis, need, and emergency. We also offer transitional housing and second stage housing and outreach services that we call the Independent Living Program.
Mm.
Wonderful. My goodness, that's incredible. And Caitlin, tell us a little bit about you.
Mm.
Sure. So my name is Caitlin Carroll, and I'm a social worker by trade. I came on board with the Miramichi Youth House this past September of 2020. Um, I was hired on as a housing project manager, and I'm overseeing the expansion project for Miramichi Youth House. We are
Mm.
currently expanding our services into adult services. So the Youth House will be launching a whole bunch of new programs for adults, hopefully in the next year or so, and that's my baby, my project that I'm working on right now.
Mm.
Wow.
Exciting. It's a
Hmm.
fantastic enterprise for sure, the youth house. And a lot of people don't really know. You just described what it is and what youth you draw. But tell us more about the specifics as to how they come about ending up in the youth home, staying there, learning to live as in supervised, how old they have to be when they're taken in, and all of the little bits of ins and outs as to how they arrive there.
Yeah. So, it's interesting you ask that question because oftentimes I think there is a misconception that in order to be homeless, you have to be an addict or have severe mental health issues. And I really try to make a point to make people aware that that isn't always the case. Our doors are open to people of all walks of life. You may have,
Hmm.
addiction issues or you may have issues, or you may just have come across hard financial times. We certainly do not judge. We welcome everyone. And yeah, I just think a big thing we want to mirror that homelessness has no face and that it truly can
Mm.
affect anyone. And it doesn't mean that you've made wrong decisions or you've been negligent in your life. It truly can happen to anyone.
Right, exactly, Sam. And I'm glad you told people that because people may just assume what you said they assume, and that's not always the way for sure. Great clarification.
Mm. Caitlin, tell us a little bit about what that means that you're expanding and that you're looking at adults programs and what does that mean for the area, but more importantly, I guess, for the youth house.
Yeah, for sure. So this project kind of was born out of a need that a lot of the services in the area were noticing. And it was that there were adults in our region experiencing homelessness, and we didn't have any services locally to offer
Mm.
folks. So the Miramishi Youth House stepped forward and said, we would love to expand our services and we're willing to apply for funding and to be that organization that gets this thing started. And that's how I got hired. We
Mm-hmm.
received funding through a federal fund called Reaching Home to hire myself and to get this project started. So look like the project has evolved into 4 projects now at this point. We're working on an emergency shelter or emergency housing
Mm-hmm.
that will be available to anyone who needs it on any given night, 365 days a year. We're also working on transitional housing, so that's somewhere more permanent for people to go after they've been in the shelter for a little while. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then we are also working on 2 affordable housing projects right now. And those are intended to be permanent, safe, secure, affordable housing for folks who may be living outside their means right now or are low income and need something more affordable. So we're trying to really tackle housing as a continuum for whether you are completely homeless or maybe you just need a more affordable living environment.
Right. Right.
Wow.
Well, that's great. And anyone that's listening is going to be wanting that knowledge out there that there is expansion coming, and it's not just going to be youth, but all kinds of ladies and gentlemen out there that are going to be part of this whole big picture. I guess for you, Sam, you know my passion, and Caitlin may as well for youth. I think having worked in the field of working with at-risk youth my entire career, I have a special place in my heart for young people today, and especially those that are struggling, as you said, not just those that are out there and homeless. Of course, that's a huge pain in the heart to know that that exists, but just in general, what they're up against, with hormonal changes, with mental illnesses they might have, with fitting in, with trying to just be themselves in a world that's not often accepting of one another's differences. So, just from your perspective, I love what I do with youth. So, tell me from your perspective what you just love about these youth and how extremely valuable young people are to our society, and to me, one of the most special age brackets out there.
Mhm. I think that, we have a lot of feel good moments here at Miramichi Youth House. Example, something we did for Valentine's Day is we had all of our staff write something kind about each resident on a heart, and we put that on their wall. So when they woke up or on their door, sorry. So when they woke up in the morning, they were able to see all those kind words. I think it's
Nice.
those moments and it's those connectors and those, sometimes tough conversations, but meaningful and impactful conversations that you have working at the Miramichi Youth House. I think it's an incredibly rewarding experience, and I like to think we do really good for our clients, and we cater to them and we care about them.
Mm-hmm.
That's
That's
amazing.
reputation. Yeah, that's the reputation you get over there too.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
It's
Mm-hmm.
interesting because, the province, but most specifically our city here, we are truly facing a housing crunch. Like there is very little in the way of rentals available. There's very little in the way of, houses to purchase, and very little in the way of affordable housing. And so it's obvious that you saw that need, and you know, you heard that cry, and how amazing is that? But
Hmm.
that's a huge project for you guys to be taking on.
Yeah, it really is. Um, but as an organization and as a board, we've had a lot of discussions about future projection and growth and the evolution of our organization. And we have one board member who uses the phrase to say, I believe in making hay when the sun shines. And right
Hmm.
now in the housing world, the sun is shining. COVID-19 has brought to light all of the challenges with housing and homelessness. Homeless individuals are flagged as one of the vulnerable populations for contracting COVID-19. The federal government and the provincial government have contributed a lot of dollars towards housing. So the sun is shining right now in the housing world, and Miramichi is in some dire need, and we're just trying to strategically get all our ducks in a row, and we have been
Hmm.
successful in applying for some funding and some pretty large opportunities. So we're hopeful,
Hmm.
and if we are successful in getting all of these things off the ground, we're making huge gains in terms of housing and housing insecurity in our region.
Yeah,
Amazing.
for sure. Yes, it's wonderful. And Sam, taking it back to the youth again, I'm going to keep going back to the youth that you have under your reign
Please
right
do.
now. Um, yes, I love talking about young people and adolescents, and of course, young adults. So, um, just give us a typical day as to, well, of course, you're the executive director, and I assume you have to oversee everything there. And do you also play a role in the staffing part? Uh, if I was to be a 19-year-old girl having not a great ideal situation and needed that home to live in with structure and comfortable surroundings and all of the above, food, warmth, love,
Yeah.
tell me what I would expect when I walked in there and how you would take me in and allow me a home there.
Yeah, so you would enter into the home and start with our intake process. Our management team has made an incredible intake binder that offers all kinds of great resources for our clients. So we do have a welcome package for them. We give them a house tour, and then would you like a shower? Would you like anything to eat? How can we make you comfortable? And then, of course, your stay with us. Our clients generally are expected to either be continuing their education or working or volunteering. We try to keep them
Okay.
busy while living with us. And also, especially that volunteerism piece, it really helps build their resume portfolio. And we love to help with employment strategies. And that would be kind of what our outreach worker through the independent living program oversees. She would be covering,
Okay.
she would be working with things like nutrition and career counseling and,
Mm.
setting you up with doctor's appointments, just giving you that support that you may not have had previously and ensuring that all of those needs are being met. She's absolutely
Mm-hmm.
wonderful. We're so lucky to have such a great program. And then, of course, depending on your need and where you're at, if you would like, you can transition to our second stage housing. So we have 3 apartments above the emergency shelter. And yeah, they're great. They're very spacious. They were just recently renovated, actually. I'm excited to share with you that we were awarded a grant this summer. So all of the houses
Mm.
so fresh and clean and beautiful. Yeah, you guys will really have to
Nice.
come see it sometime. Absolutely gorgeous here. We're so lucky on the water.
Yes, that sounds like a great place to be, for sure.
Yeah, and I really actually had no idea that you I guess what the services were when a youth was coming to stay with you. How do the youth find you? Like, how do you are they referred to you by social services, or can they land on your doorstep?
Yeah, so we are a 24-hour service. We're a drop-in service. Oftentimes we do have people just show up. Sometimes there is a referral process. We can be referred through the schools. The person may call independently. Social workers may call. Family members may call. Yeah, we, as soon as we get the phone call, we start getting ready.
All right, so whichever of you ladies would like to answer this question, mine is in regard to the coldest night of the year event, an annual event that just happened recently on the river with your youth home. So tell us all about that. Did it exceed your expectations?
It certainly did. We're so excited to announce that we did wonderful this year. All funds go towards the Miramishi Youth House. It goes towards operational expenses, keeping the lights on and keeping our door open. Um, we do have to raise an additional $30,000 annually to stay open. So being able to meet that mark with one fundraiser, absolutely exceptional. And we were so excited.
Exceptional is
That's
right.
amazing. Talk to us a little bit about what that, like, what is it?
So what we do for coldest night of the year is we do a walk in unison. Of course, this year looked a little different. We're going virtual, so folks use the hashtag CNOY Miramichi, and they were encouraged to walk on their own, to videotape, to go live, to make some noise. Just to kind of show that we're all in this together and we're standing together to fight homelessness and hunger in our community. We do several fundraisers a year. So that would be our 12 homeless hours fundraiser. But yes, in that one we do build shelters out of boxes, and we brave the cold, and we stay the night outside in honor of homelessness and hunger.
Amazing.
So, Kate, maybe you'd like to jump in on just some of the most positive and rewarding experiences for you as being part of the youth home since you've gotten on board. I know the future is all about adult housing and expansion, but for you as a person involved with youth home, what are some of the highlights for you over the past number of months or year?
Miramichi Youth House has been nothing but inspiring to work with. I have a career in social work, and jumping into the nonprofit sector again has been really enlightening and really inspiring. This organization and this board are really looking to the future and looking to give back to the community as much as possible. Basically, I go to Sam with an idea and she says, let's make it happen. She just wants to see solutions in this community. So we are always putting our brains together and pitching it to the board, and the board says, let's make it happen. So it's really been a breath of fresh air to work with this organization.
Great teamwork,
Amazing.
beautiful dynamics there with the relationships. I love to hear about that. It makes it, when you have a great rapport with the people that you're surrounding, only positive things can happen, is the way I look at it.
So most of our guests that we've had on in the last year, we've talked about the fact that, COVID has had to change just about everything that we do. What have you had to put in place in the youth house to get through these COVID times, and how have you helped your clients adjust to that?
Yeah, so of course, like everywhere, we had to change sanitation policy. We had to limit interaction. We weren't welcoming any guests into the home anymore while we were in red and orange phase. So essentially, of course, we had to follow the same public health recommendation and government protocol as everyone else. Our biggest impact would definitely have been with our fundraising. That was a challenge to overcome this year. That's why we're so incredibly thankful for coldest night of the year and what we were able to raise. That will be a huge help. But yeah, so other than that, truly, we just had to follow government protocol. But one thing I do want to say is I think that COVID has made people very aware this year about how vulnerable we truly all are. And I think that COVID has truly put a light on the importance of housing and shelter for all. And so I have noticed that, and I have seen people advocate or become stronger advocates against homelessness in our community. And I truly have seen more opportunity in that regard. People seem to be more aware.
Wonderful.
I agree. I'm hearing more and more about it. That's for sure. And I know the show is soon over, but just a real quick question. Do you require still a lot of volunteer services with Youth Home?
Yes, so we did limit volunteers coming in, and that was strictly due to COVID to limit traffic in the home.
Okay.
However, now that things seem to be going back and hopefully will be yellow again soon, we certainly will be welcoming our volunteers back, and we look forward to their return. We've missed them.
Well, listen, ladies, we really want to thank you. We're just heading to break, and it's just incredible work that you both do, and we look forward to hearing,
Mhm.
great things out of the Miramichi Youth House, and we look forward to sharing those wonderful things with, the community and across the province. So, thank you both for coming on today. Thank you for sharing, your passion and your dedication to our youth and now our adults as we head into that next phase of the Miramichi Youth House. We want to make sure that for all of our guests at home, all of us that are watching at home, that you keep the Miramichi House in your thoughts when you're thinking about donating
Mhm.
or volunteering. They definitely need it. And, don't go too far. We're heading out to break now. Grab a hot coffee or hot chocolate or I don't know, chocolate something. Anyway, come on back. We've got another guest coming up right after break. Thanks, ladies.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Thank you.
girls.
Hi, and welcome back to Have a Chat. I am your host today, joined, of course, by my wonderful co-host, Judy Loge.
Yes, and happy hello to everybody that's just tuning in with us for this segment.
And we had a wonderful segment, the previous segment, with two wonderful, powerful,
Yeah.
incredibly gifted young women who are
Mhm.
working with the Miramichi Youth House. But now we are joined by another wonderful, incredibly gifted human. Richard Sutherland
Yes.
is joining us from the Red Cross. Welcome, Richard.
Hi, pleasure to be here.
Now, Richard, tell our viewing audience a little bit about yourself and so that they can get to know you just like we do.
I'm from Miramishi. I live in the Savogal area. Grew up here, and like everybody else, we move away to Moncton and out west. But I'm back home, and I've been uh, following Red Cross for many years, and I I want to give back to my community, so I try to do as much as I can.
Well, I'm sure
Wonderful.
you do, and I try to give to the Red Cross and well, donate blood to the Red Cross and all that stuff too. But um, as far as your involvement goes, in particular, Richard, what does it entail for you on just at any given day? What's your involvement with the Red Cross?
Uh, I'm a volunteer, so on times when I'm not at my day job and uh, when a call comes in, I'm part of what we call our PDAT team, or Personal Disaster Assistance Team. I'm also the
Mm-hmm.
supervisor for that team. A personal
Oh.
disaster team handles individual emergencies. For example, if someone has a house fire, if someone has to evacuate their home for any reason, be it flood,
Mm-hmm.
electrical issues, the
Yeah.
police involvement. So it's our responsibility to look after them for a period of 72 hours, mostly to help them until their insurance can kick in. But we make
Yeah.
sure they have lodging, we make sure they have food, and if need be, we make sure they have clothing for that period of time.
Mm. Okay. That's a
That's
lot.
incredible. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
mean, you're really seeing people at some of probably the worst times in their lives, really, as they're
Mm.
experiencing some of those disasters, as you said. So how long have you been with the Red Cross?
I first joined Red Cross in 1998. I took a brief hiatus between 2010 and 2017, just dealing with family issues and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And when I joined back up in December of 2017, I took over the team, and I've handled the majority of the calls since, but we are building our team up slowly and just looking to get more volunteers.
That's good. And we'll hopefully this show will get it out there that there are volunteers required with your organization. Richard, what areas do you cover specifically with your team? And how can those calls, like, how do they come in? Where might you be, and how long to assemble everybody together and get to that specific location where this disaster may be occurring?
Um, we cover, of course, the Miramishi area down past Nigawak to Kent County, like Rishabukto area, Rogersville, then to Doketown, and partway back to Bathurst Highway. So we have a fairly substantial area to cover, but we make sure that the calls come in through our provincial dispatch center, which will contact the person on call, whether it be myself or someone else. And right now, due to COVID, we're working remotely, so I can enter the information on my laptop, send the file away, and have an electronic fund transfer sent to the person. Or if it's something more major, we go in person following COVID.
Yeah, well, you cover a very large area. I didn't realize it encompassed all of that down towards Nigawak and the surrounding area. That's great. Thank you.
So talk to us a little bit about, so like after they give you a call and you said you can get them funds transfers and things like that, like what happens? So if I guess I'm involved in a local disaster, and I know you talked about flooding in Fredericton, and there's been other things, of course, in the region. So, what can the Red Cross do for me? Like, it just seems so, when I'm in that moment and everything seems to be gone, how can you help me?
That's what we're here for. In that moment, your thoughts are so jumbled. So it's our policy that for the first 72 hours, we'll make sure that you don't have to worry about the things like where you're going to sleep tonight, what you're going to eat, and what you're going to wear. I have been on calls where people have run out of their house, wrapped in a blanket, and that's it. So what happens is we show up, we have to fill out a form. Naturally, all of our money that comes in is donated, so we have a responsibility to record everything. We have national standards for the funds we give, but basically what happens is I talk to you for a bit, myself or my team. We make sure you have lodging, whether if you want to stay with a friend, or we can put you up in one of our local hotels. We make sure that we give you a gift card, or we do an electronic funds transfer. The gift card is actually a prepaid MasterCard. And that's to cover the cost of clothing and the cost of food for a period of 72 hours. We also offer, I hesitate to call it counseling, but it's a friendly ear. I'm on part of another team as well, a safety and well-being team, dealing with people in crisis, and so we're there to talk, and we always get asked the question, what do I do now? And so we make sure they know, well, do you have insurance? Call them. Just to give them the next steps. And it lets the family, the what we call a beneficiary, start on the path to restoring their life.
Okay.
That's amazing.
Veronique and I, as you know, volunteer in many, many ways in various situations, but Unlike you, we have not volunteered, at least I have not volunteered in the capacity that you have with disastrous areas occurring. So you were a part of the scene with the Red Cross 2 summers ago when Cole Crescent had a terrible fire, which is located just off, it's on the retirement village grounds, basically off of Highway 11 there. It's a big unit of housing. And then you were also part of the scene, I understand, when the Vogue Theater, our one and true big legend, I guess, of theater, Cultural Center burned down just last year. So those were terrible experiences. Tell us how you became involved and what it felt like when you saw these things going, so bad around you.
Like I said, I've been part of this since '98. I was part of 9/11. I dealt with diverted passengers. I've dealt with Nelson Forest Products had a fire. We had to
Yes.
evacuate the area. So I was at my day job and left because I had a major headache and couldn't stare at a computer screen anymore. And as I was walking out to my vehicle, I get a call that I was needed at Cole Crescent. And this was for the first one when it was shut down by the fire marshal's office. And so I went there and I spoke with the fire department to see what was going on. Everybody was in a panic. I remember one woman came up to me and shows, "I'm going to be sleeping on the sidewalk tonight. What am I going to do?" And I calmly explained to her that, "Ma'am, this is what we're here for. I'm going to make sure you have a roof over your head." And so I brought my team on board. We brought in volunteers from Moncton, Fredericton, Bathurst to help us out. We set up a shelter operation for them. That the first one went a few weeks, and then they just got back. The other building had a fire. We had to do the same thing over again. Then when the Vogue caught fire, it started over with Art McLean's properties, and I knew the fire departments were very tied up, and so I said, well, just to make sure, I'll be in the area. I introduced myself to the deputy fire chief, and stayed around because if the wind had shifted that day, there was an apartment building at risk, and there was also a gas station, which would have caused a bigger evacuation. Same thing when Anderson Mill happened.
You were there and much appreciated for sure, right? Very unique. We don't know how much value. I guess I'm giving you lots of credit because you do such great work there, Richard, and helping people come to the some kind of an assembly in the worst of times.
Yeah, I'm always amazed by, the Red Cross and our first responders and in that, we're trying to find a way away from all of this, and you guys are trying to find a way to make it all work for everybody. So how does one become a volunteer with the Red Cross? And I'm going to assume that there's some training involved.
There is. Right now we mostly advise people to go to our website, redcross.ca /volunteer. It will give, look for the emergency responder request for your area, and you fill out an application there. Our team gets a hold of you to discuss what we do. Then we're all put through a series of interviews, security checks, both criminal record checks and vulnerable sector, because we deal with people of all ages. And so then we go to then once you do come on board, there's online training to teach you the aspects of what we do, and then we will pair you with an experienced volunteer to do your calls and gain the experience of dealing with people. This is something that you don't jump into because every call is different. The first person might be just they're lost because they've lost their home, but the next person something else may have happened. So, and we have our own internal teams to help with that. And like I said, I belong to a safety and well-being team which deals with people in crisis, and so it helps to advise.
Richard, of all the scenarios you've been part of for such a very long time as a volunteer, is there one major triumph personally for you that you felt you did the best job? You were right, you were at your very best in comforting people, in giving out, directions, and like I guess one huge personal rewarding moment above them all.
It seems every one of them is rewarding. When I leave at the end of a call and I'm on my way home and I know that that person now has shelter and that they're looked after, it feels good. But for example, the Cold Crescent, dealing with that woman who was in a panic, and then weeks down the road having her come up to me and say, I was so worried and you helped me, and now I'm back on my feet and she can see what's going on.
Yeah.
You have the funny times. I remember working 9/11 and standing in the middle of the Moncton Coliseum and had Australians confused that they were sleeping on ice for the for the time being. So
Yeah.
it was it's all rewarding. It feels good
Yeah.
to know you're helping the community.
Wonderful.
Well, Richard, just on behalf of Judy and I, we really want to thank you and your colleagues for what you do. And, as a volunteer and having dedicated so many years to it, it's quite amazing. And we want to encourage anybody who's thinking about volunteering to get out and do that. Anybody that's thinking about donating to do that as well. There's always lots of worthy causes, but this is definitely helping out in the community. And we really want to thank you for coming on today. It was a pleasure to have you, and just thanks for sharing all that you did.
I just want to make sure that you all know that if you or someone you know have seen, like whether you see on Facebook that there's a house fire and we're not called, make sure they call us. That dispatches us. Sometimes our fire departments are quite busy. They don't get around to calling us, but we're there to help those people, and we want to get those calls to help out.
We've had a great show today. We love talking to you and we can't wait to see you again next week. So have a great week, everybody, and we'll see y'all again soon.